What happens if you have a GPU that overheats, kind of like this one? Well, it's time to repad and rethermal paste a GPU. And how do you know if you're supposed to repad or rethermal paste your GPU? Well, a lot of it comes down to thermals. If your thermals are under control and just fine, then you don't need to do anything, especially if you're not very familiar. You can easily look up the average temperature for your specific GPU, and that'll give you a good ballpark. Plus, you can download Furmark, and that's going to run 100% load on your GPU. Then you can check the temperatures during that process. One of the biggest reasons to do this is if you're thermal throttling, and what you'll notice is that your temperature goes to a certain point and your usage goes down. That means your GPU is trying to compensate for the heat by lowering the clock speeds. One of the best reasons to do this is longevity of the GPU. If your GPU is consistently running at its max temperatures, over time that's going to degrade the GPU and it won't last as long, especially when it comes to VRAM chips when they're running really hot. For my repair jobs, I generally see those being one of the number one culprits of the GPU dying. My biggest advice is definitely check out a YouTube video or somebody actually taking apart your exact model. This will give you a good idea on how to do it and exactly what process to do. Once you get the GPU broken open, just be aware of all the cables that are attached and you don't want to just rip it apart. You want to make sure to take the fan cable, the RGB cable, and anything else that's connected before you actually split the GPU. Now to clean the GPU die, we're going to use a paper towel and some isopropyl alcohol. The higher percent, the better. Now whenever you're doing this, just be careful because there's lots of small components that surround the die and you don't want to knock any of those off. Once the GPU is all clean, you can go ahead and rethermal paste and then put it back together. Now depending on what your temperatures were for your VRAM, you can also repad. A lot of times you can rethermal paste and keep the same pads, but it just depends on the exact pads and how long they've been in your GPU. Since the GPU is open anyways, I always recommend cleaning all the heatsink, the fans, and everything else. That way you don't have any dust and debris and your GPU can breathe better, which is going to be better for thermals. Next, we can add the pads back, or in this case, a thermal putty. Then we'll zip it back together and we will have virtually a brand new GPU with much better thermals.